In this video, I'm going to show you how to use those tools using a template in the background as a reference material. So I've started a new file, and I'm actually going to use 1000 by 720 because my images are closer to that size. So I have put some images that I'm using for reference in a folder, and so I'm going to drag in my first image here and make it a little larger. I'm going to just use these as reference as a background, and then I'm going to drag in another one, and this is a photo of my storyboard that I'm going to be working with. Okay. For each one of these, I'm going to change the opacity to 50% because I'm just going to be using it as a template. I'll just start with this one. Rate that as 50%. So these are basically templates for you to follow. Then I'm going to lock them, and actually want to make this one a little bigger. I'm going to take my move tool and move it in place. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to lock this one, and I'm just going to use this first one to maybe guide me on how I might build this. So for each shape that I make, I'm going to create a different layer, so I have flexibility in being able to move these shapes around, and also if I want to animate any of them. So I'm going to start with layer 1. I'm just going to create this box. There's a lot of ways that I can do that. I can come up and grab my tool here, polygonal lasso tool. It's a really nice tool for being able to just draw straight lines and create a form. This gives me a selection. I can save this selection if I want. I can go under Save Selection and then just write Shape 1. And then I can have another number of options of how I may want to fill this with color. I can click here and select my colors, but I have asked you to put together a color scheme, which you have in your library. So I can select this one swatch, and you can see it shows up in the foreground color. This is my background color. Sometimes I like to load two different colors. If I'm working with two different colors, I like to load them up in here, but I really want to be working with my foreground color, and this is my background color. So to fill this, you can go under and select Fill, and then foreground color or background color, depending, and then fill it. I like to use the shortcut, keyboard shortcut, which is Option Delete on a Mac and Control Delete on a PC. I just find that when you're starting to fill colors, it's a lot of work to keep on coming up here and clicking Fill. So get used to doing this. So I'm going to make sure I'm on my layer 1, and I'm going to select Option Delete, and it fills it immediately. So to get off of this or to deselect your selection, it's Command D or Control D to deselect your selection. So I can now make another layer, and I'm going to build this background color. So I'm going to show you how to use this pen tool. So the pen tool is actually really good for putting curves into straight lines and working with straight lines and curves. With that polygonal tool, you can only make straight lines. So this would be an option where you say I want to curve this a little bit. I'm just going to drag it and hold down my Command key. I can hold this handle and then drag it out a little bit more, pull this in a bit, and then make a straight line and then make a curved line. So that is one of the reasons why you would use this, as opposed to working with this tool where you can only create straight lines. What you need to do from this point is, you need to get it to be turned into a selection. In order to do that, you have to go under Paths, and then there's this little circle right here. To click on it, it's like a little marching dance circle, and it turns it into a selection. So if you come back here, you can click on your layer 2, you can fill it with whatever color you want. So say you're working in the same color scheme, but I want it to be a little darker now behind or in front of it, and I can do Option Delete and it'll fill it. Now I can put this behind here, and you can see that now I have more flexibility on how I can move my layers around. And then Command D to deselect. I'm going to add another layer, and this time I'm going to show you how to use these rectangular vector rectangle and shape forms. One of the advantages to that is that you can use the transform tools. In this particular can use the transform tools. Okay, so if I want to use the transform tools here, I have to select it. In order to reselect this, I'm going to click on the little icon and click Command or Control on a PC, and the selection will come back. So once I do that, I can go under Transform and use these transform tools to make it bigger or larger, and so may want to make a different kind of shape, kind of like we did in our very first assignment when we were working. So Command D. So this is a way that you can use these tools, and you have also this option, really nice lasso tool. If I wanted to create just kind of an amorphic shape here, I want to add it to another layer, and then maybe add a green, and then Option Delete. Put this underneath. Okay. So little tool, and I'm fairly limited to this. I don't really have the ability to. I don't really have access to. So the vector tools allow you to enlarge or reduce a object without losing any quality. It's really kind of comes from Illustrator. It's vector-based. Photoshop's a raster-based program, but you can work with these vector-based tools. So a vector base allows you to enlarge and reduce without losing image quality. So you can see as soon as I draw it, I have this little box here that's telling me it's a vector image or vector shape. And so I have access to these transform, the transform menu, and so I can distort this. So I can come and take this and drag it up and create a shape here. Once I do that, I can just come back and accept it. So this is the limitation to this is that you can't really get like really specific curves. You just are able to get shapes and transform them. So if that works for you, you can work in this way as well. Lastly, I want to show you how you might be able to work not only with colors but with gradients. Next, I want to show you how you may work with an image if you have a reference image and you want to refer to that. So I'm going to add another layer, and I'm seeing that I can draw this out, this kind of rectangular image with straight lines. So I can come up here and get the polygonal lasso tool and draw it in this way. I can kind of come up here. And then I have my marching dances, make sure I'm on my own separate layer, and then I can fill it that way. I'm going to fill it just quickly with the yellow. Option Delete. Another way that you can do it, there's always multiple ways you can work in Photoshop, Command D, is you can work with this tool, the free pen tool. The pen tool takes a little bit of time getting used to understanding how to work with it. So if you're not really willing to put a little extra time into it, just work with this tool. But I'm going to set a little bit more control if I want to come up here, place these points. Just going to go straight across and then connect it. So if I really want to have more control over this, I can use my pen tool, complete the shape, and then go to Path, click on here, and then I have a selection. I can save that selection if I want. If I don't want to, I can just click back on here and fill that with the yellow, Option Delete. So these are ways that you can use these tools up here. If I want to go and start to use my vector tools, I'm going to add another shape here. So I want to make this box here. Move it up here. And then I can come over here to my free transform and distort it. So I'm going to make this 50%. So you can see what I'm doing here. Once you have all of your drawn shapes for a background, you'll want to put them into a folder. So you're going to click down here and create a new folder, and you're going to name it background, bouncy ball background. And then click on all of these layers. We'll even put that in there, put it in here. So now I have everything into a folder, and this will be my bouncy ball background. I will get further into how you will be adding this to the timeline in another video. For now, you have these shapes, and you're able to build it in that way. So